Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Caught Stealing, starring Austin Butler, Regina King, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Benito Martinez Ocasio, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Now, this took me a while to get to. I'm just excited to talk about this movie, but let's see if it's a good movie. Let's get into it. The year is 1998, and the location is New York City. And when we meet a burned out ex baseball player named Hank Thompson, played by Austin Butler, working as a bartender at a bar at 4 in the morning, as he's a San Francisco Giants fan from baseball, and gets some good customers versus rude customers until eventually he closes the bar for the night, and his girlfriend Yvonne, played by Zoe Kravitz, comes to the bar to get Hank's ass home, and she does. And when they get home, they smooch up a storm in the hallway, and they encounter his obnoxious neighbor Russ, played by Matt Smith, as he has to go to London for his father purposes, and asks Hank to watch his cat, Bud, who loves Hank, otherwise he bites other people, and Russ yells at their neighbor Dwayne as he leaves, and Yvonne checks up on Bud the cat, while Hank hears his mother's message and Bud comes to Hank's apartment, as Yvonne has a lighter that, instead of that, I swear to God, looks like a gun, but but it's actually a lighter, if you could believe it. And they strip and have sexual intercourse while Bud the cat watches, and the chemistry between Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz works great, as I believe they're lovers. As Hank wakes up after a dream that will see time and again, and they wake up to almost 1 in the afternoon with Yvonne going to work, as I really like the characters, as Bud is the cutest kitty cat I've seen in this entire movie. Hank gets the shit beat out of him by a couple of mobsters with foreign accents. I think they were... Fuck, I forgot. And Hank is pissed blood, and goes to the hospital as he dreams of how he got his friend killed in high school years. And we get brief images while he dreams of it again and again throughout the movie, while he wakes up at the hospital and learns he's been in the hospital for 2 days, as he calls his mother because it's been 2 days and the Giants won the game of baseball, as Hank gets out of the hospital with the condition of no alcohol whatsoever, amongst other things that he doesn't do anyways, as Yvonne says to take things more seriously, and the writing in this is very good throughout. And Hank shows Bud he can do it by dumping the alcohol in the toilet, and this movie makes smart choices from start to finish. The mobsters are back, and they try to break into Russ's apartment as Hank hides from those assholes. And one of them sees Hank as he gets in his own apartment before almost getting himself killed, and calls Detective Ellie Roman, played by Regina King, from the narcotics, and she with another cop come by the apartment, and she asks if he bought drugs from Russ, and he doesn't know Russ is a fucking criminal. And Detective Roman fucks with Hank twice, and he doesn't know any criminals, and he confesses he's scared for his life, and she leaves, and Hank messes with the clogged toilet one of the officers used earlier in that scene, and a toy cat poo with the key inside happens to be in the litter, which kind of amusing, as Hank sees Lipa, played by Liev Schreiber, and Schmolly, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, stopping by Russ's apartment as he was wanted by Detective Roman. Warned by Detective Roman about how they're more evil than the people they deal with are. And he calls Detective Roman and goes to the bar and gets a drink while asking his boss Paul to hide the key until Yvonne picks him up, as he got drunk, and it causes Hank and Yvonne to briefly break up as he pukes on the door, and he gets back home safely. And this was amusing at best, but as for Detective Roman, it's been a while since I've seen Regina King in something, as she turned in some good work in my opinion. Hank dreams of how he got his friend killed because of the alcohol, and gets awakened by the mobsters, and meets Colorado as he interrogates Hank while one of the mobsters tries to pet Bud the cat, but Bud gets kicked around. But because Bud's a biter, he gets kicked around by one of them motherfuckers. But he tells the truth and says he was wasted in the night before, and tells them the truth, but with no key. As they cut one of the stitches open until Dwayne comes by and tells them to fuck off, as they threaten Hank to not call Detective Roman. And after the interrogation, we see Bud limping on one leg, and when I saw this both times, I was like, "Aw, poor cat." And Hank comes to Yvonne's place to fix the stitches and take care of Bud, and I felt so bad for Bud, as he was my favorite character in this whole movie. Hank asks Yvonne to take care of Bud. Yeah, that's right. And for now, and he goes out to deal with Paul, aka his boss, while Lipa and Schmully chase Hank at a marketplace, and he successfully gets away from them and continuously calls Paul until he eventually calls the mobsters and tells them he's going to get it from a friend of his. And he sees they killed Yvonne, and when I first saw this, I was like, oh shit, these motherfuckers killed her to death. And like the cat's injury, it was off screen, and he goes to Detective Roman to investigate the murder of Yvonne, excuse me. And she takes Hank to get a cup of coffee, and Hank wants to take Bud with him as they talk, and he confesses the key is at Paul's bar, and wait for backup until the mobsters come in, and on the backup of Detective Roman, and she's a corrupt cop, and that was a twist I didn't see coming on, as there's a lot of twists and turns I didn't see coming from start to finish at all. Hank goes to Paul's bar while Detective Roman and the mobsters wait until they eventually come in, and Amtrak kills Paul's friend, while Detective Roman kills Colorado because he pointed a gun at Paul, and he says the key is in the safe, and he opens the safe and pulls out a shotgun and shoots at them, and they shoot Paul dead, and they want Hank to come out or else he becomes a criminal, and he runs out of there and gets away from the cops as well as the mobsters, and wakes up Jason, the homeless man, as he checks for the key and finds the key, and Hank tells him to keep the pants, and he learns the Giants are going to the playoffs, and he hears Russ going back home, and Hank tells him everything he's been through, no thanks to him, and they go to a safe area to get whatever Russ owes the mobsters, and Russ says to Hank he fucked up, and at this point, this is a good movie, and I'm having a good enough time with it, as it's very entertaining, and it is a good time at the movies, in my opinion. Maybe a little weird in some people's view, but I think it's good so far. Russ's vision gets worse as time goes on, and takes Hank to the safe and sees what's inside the safe as he calls his mother, and he tells her what's going on with him as of lately, and he tells her not to trust them, while Russ tells Hank to hang up the phone while pointing a gun at Hank. And Russ gets knocked out by Hank, and he calls Detective Roman and tells her the plan, as Russ's vision is drowsy, and he drives to an area while he wants the cat back. Excuse me. They arrive to the area and gets the cat back, while the mobsters get killed and bitten in the ear, and they escape with the cat and eventually get out of the car. And this was a crazy scene, as there were scenes that were crazy. Hank takes Russ to the train station and throws his Giants hat to the mobsters and calls them out, and they get on the train to escape as Russ briefly dies, and Hank gets off the train without Russ and takes the bus to the beach as he sleeps there for the night, and gets a call from Detective Roman having Hank's mother on the hit list and bring the money to a club. But Hank instead decides to let go of his accident with his friend, and everything else go, and calls his mother and makes a call to Lipa and Schmully for help as they meet officially for the first time, as he breaks the key off at the phone booth and plays a game of baseball while waiting for Lipa and Schmully, as these two brothers are clever as hell, and the cinematography is pretty good to watch throughout. Lipa and Schmully take Hank to their mother's house for a Jewish holiday, which I've never went through before, and they have some food until they have to leave to go to the club, where Detective Roman told them to deliver the money to while Lipa and Schmully tie up Hank, while they shoot up the club as they get out with Hank escaping while stealing a bat, as does Detective Roman and the monster, and knocks the monster out with the mobster, excuse me, I meant the mobster, out with 2 fucking punches, which is a miracle as he finds Detective Roman. Well, a dog barks at her, and she sneaks up on him, and they fight until he stabs her in the foot and doesn't pull the trigger, but Lipa and Shmuley show up and finish Detective Roman off, and there were times it got brutal for damn sure. Hank drives the van to where the money is at, and he learns Lipa and Shmuley were the ones who killed Yvonne. While they have the lighter, or whatever that is, that looks like a gun, and driving towards a pole and kills Lipa and Shmuley off. But luckily, Bud the cat still lives with Hank and gets out of America disguised as Russ and tells his mother he has to go away for a while to an island. And he sends his money to a mother who's played by Laura Dern and lives on an island with Bud. And the climax entertained me, but how entertained was I with this movie? Let's talk about it in a rating. I'll give this movie a 7.7 out of 10. The chemistry between Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz works great, as I believe they're lovers until she dies, but I really like the characters, as Bud is the cutest kitty cat I've ever seen in the movie, in this whole movie anyways, as well as the writing in this movie is very good throughout, and it makes smart choices from start to finish. Bud the cat was my favorite character in the whole movie, and I didn't see the twists and turns coming from start to finish, and by the end of it, I was satisfied with the movie, as this is a good movie and I'm having a good enough time with it, as it was very entertaining as a good time at the movies. There were scenes that were crazy, as director Darren Aronofsky does a good job at making the audiences have a good time, as well as feeling craziness, and this is a recommendation for the movie, as the cinematography is good, pretty good throughout, as I actually had a good time with it. People will disagree, sure, but in my opinion, it's very entertaining, and at the end of the day, this was actually a good movie, and I liked watching it, as I might stream it again when it comes out then, but I probably won't own it on 4K disc or anything like that, but I'll probably watch it on streaming at some point. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this Darren Aronofsky retrospective, and until he ever makes a movie, again, I'll say, should I stay or should I go? Oh wait, that's weird.